Hey everybody, it is day 145. This is Chad. I'm here with my brother Ryan. Today we're talking about eating less. And I've talked about this last week a little bit, kept saying it would be tomorrow, and then it was tomorrow, and then it was tomorrow. Finally, we got together and did this the last days here. So he's going to talk today about his experience in a Honduras prison. For 2 months he was there. Some of you know that we were really working hard to get him out of there. And he's going to talk about how he ate and what he learned about eating and some really cool things. It really helped me a lot, you know, as I thought about my journey, about eating less and fasting and some of those things. So I'm going to let him take it away.
Yeah, so I was in fact in a Honduran prison for about 2 or 3 months. It's a hilarious story. So someday I'll tell that, and you can hear that probably on video. But while I was there, they don't really feed you in Honduran prisons. The government really doesn't even supply food, and you can buy stuff, but nobody has money, and so you kind of just sit there and starve. It's really like probably a violation of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. I mean, it's really a sad situation. But every day you get rice and beans and tortillas, and I happen to like rice and beans and tortillas, so all the guys would be like, you know, hey gringo, what, you like the food? And I'd be like, yeah, actually I do. I like the food. But if you only eat that way for like 2 or 3 months straight, right, and that's all you're eating, then you lose a lot of weight. So like I was already kind of skinny going in, but I lost about 20 to 30 pounds in 2.5 months on what I call the Honduran prison diet. And if you know you're really looking to lose weight fast, I guess, in 2.5 to 3 months, you want to lose 20 to 30 pounds, maybe you could try it too. I don't know. I'm not sure I'd recommend it, but here's the trick. Here's what I learned about it from this experience that's serious, is that I got to the point where I would only eat if I was hungry. And the reason is if you eat the same thing every day, like if you eat rice, beans, and tortillas every day with like no salt or spice or anything, then what you lose is the addiction to flavor. Right? And so I think a lot of our diets that are out there are actually encouraging the addiction to flavor. They're trying to make the food taste really good, make it taste like normal food, quote unquote, right? But that's perpetuating the flavor addiction. So you still want to put something in your mouth at every moment of the day in order to satiate that craving. And what I realized being kind of in this microcosm, in this situation that I was forced into for like totally corrupt purposes, by the way, like I shouldn't have been there, but it's a long story. It's really funny though, and I learned a lot, so I'm grateful for it. But like the thing I learned from it was, or one of the things I learned was, if you get rid of the flavor addiction, right, the addiction to flavor, you only eat when you're hungry, you know. And so I'd get to the point where I'd eat like, you know, maybe once today, like maybe, you know, because like that would be the time where my body was actually saying, I need more energy, I need more resources to keep doing what we're doing, but I wouldn't eat otherwise. And then some days I'd eat like 3 times, you know, or something like that, you know. And it was really great when somebody brought me like peanut butter and jelly and Snickers. I definitely ate that and got back into my flavor addiction. So and picked up a little bit of weight, you know, that way. But really, I think an interesting way to go about it would be to try and like take out the flavor and see how much weight you can lose then. Because if food becomes boring, right, if it just gets boring to eat and you're just like, this is so boring, I don't want beans and rice and tortillas again. You know, if you're just eating the same thing over and over again and you can kick that addiction, then I think it might be easier to lose weight. And nobody's really recommending that. You know, nobody's saying, hey, why don't you try the diet that they give you in a Honduran prison? So I don't know, check it out, try it. Maybe it'll work for you. It could be like a whole thing.
So how did you, what did it feel like? You said that when you ate, you were really hungry. You'd go sometimes without meals, and then you'd eat because your body was saying, hey, I need nutrients. What did that feel like in your body?
Yeah, so like the normal pang of hunger that you get, I think, throughout the day, I think that's really an addiction response, is what I learned. It's not actually, you're not actually hungry. Like you want something in your mouth. You know, you don't need something in your stomach, right? Because we have lots of energy stored up, and our body will kick in and use it, right? But you have to get there. You have to get to like ketosis, right, to actually start using stored energy. You have to get behind the carbs. So your body's like carb addicted, right, and flavor addicted. And so it's like, gimme, 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 gimme. And that's not actually hunger. I actually know what hunger feels like now, because there was a point where I was like literally starving and going to bed hungry, because like I'd be hungry but I didn't get in the line, I didn't go eat, and I was like, you know, I know what that feels like. It's more of like an aching kind of like in your stomach. It's more of like a ooh, like, and like a weariness of like a real, you know, like, oh, my body doesn't have enough energy to keep going. It's not like the same like frantic, frenetic kind of like, oh, I need to get something and put it in my body. It's closer, I think, to pain than it is to desire. So like the flavor addiction is probably more like a desire, like almost like an anxious wanting, and then the hunger was more like almost like an aching pain.
Wow. Cool.
That's the first time I've taught about that, so I hope that's
well, and none of
accurate.
this is medical advice, right? This is just what you experienced that kind of highlighted something that we all seem to encounter, and that's we need something to eat when we're likely not hungry,
Right.
and we're eating too much. And there's lots of stuff out there that talks about us eating ourselves to death. You gave me a book, or I bought a book the other day that you recommended from Michael Pollan. I think it, what was it? Something of food.
Is it the Omnivore's Dilemma, or is it one of the
No,
ones?
he talks about eat less, something more. I think we have it right here. Is this it?
Yeah, we haven't read this, so
Okay.
it's In Defense of Food. And I don't know if this is a good book, but it's a great author.
So
I do
this
know
is
that.
a documentary.
Like, read everything he's written.
This is a documentary that I think I highlighted maybe in March or February. I think I've only highlighted a few documentaries on this journey in my videos, and this was one of them. And he says to eat less. And I'm probably not going to edit this, so thanks for hanging on here. I'm going to figure this out.
Well, I can tell you some medical.
We did not prepare this for this video.
I can tell you some.
Oh, here it is. Eat food, not too much, mostly plants. And so some of the research out there, the medical people are saying we eat too much, we eat ourselves to death.
For sure.
So as I hear you saying this, I realize, okay, I'm eating too much. You know, I lost some weight in the first 2 months. I'm gaining some of it back. I'm eating because I'm stressed. I'm sometimes bored. Maybe I eat when I'm excited. But the feeling of hunger isn't necessarily a need for food.
And I really like what you just said, because like it's like you're not hungry, you're bored.
Yeah.
Right? And so like that's why you want to put something in your mouth. So maybe like when you're hungry, like I don't know, go read a book or like go do something on the internet. Like it's really a desire addiction loop. And the way you kick addictions like through the power of habit, I think is where they talk about the addiction loop, is like you have a trigger, a response, and a reward. And you can't intervene with the trigger's just there, but you can intervene at the response level and do something different that maybe gives you kind of a similar kind of reward feedback loop, and that's how you can break addiction, right? So the next time you want a candy bar, maybe go eat some rice and beans on a tortilla instead.
Yeah.
But the medical, you know, the medical fact, you know, is that you don't need like you can go 30 days without eating, you know, or longer really, but you can go at least 30 days without eating. You can only go 3 days without water. So like water is really like, you know, super important. So even if you do this, like drink a lot of water. I drink a lot of water. There's also not clean water in a Honduran prison. You drink essentially like runoff rainwater. So it's, you know, the lack of food and water, probably a violation of the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Somebody should look into that, you know what I'm saying? But like you drink a lot of water, you really need water. You get a lot of your water from food, actually. So people tell you to drink all those cups of water every day. You're actually getting a lot of your water from food. So especially if you start eating less food, drink more water, you know. But you need water every 3 days, or you can actually like die or start hallucinating. But you only need food like every 30 days, right? And so the reality is like you can go a really long time, especially if you have reserve energy stored up, right? You can go a long time just without eating, as long as you're drinking water, you know. And you know, like we were talking about, you get past the first 2 or 3 days of a fast, right? Those are the hard ones, right? Because you're kicking an addiction. Right? It's like an addiction that you're kicking to a drug, and that drug is food. But once you get beyond that, your body just starts using like the stored energy, and ketosis actually makes you more mentally alert and like clear. So like you get a lot done, especially since you have like an extra 3 hours a day, right? That you're not eating or cleaning up from eating. Right? You can get a lot more done and using that energy that you want to be burning away anyways. Like it's crazy, but you don't need to eat. And you definitely don't need to eat 3 meals a day, okay? Have you ever heard the phrase, breakfast is the most important meal of the day? That's a marketing slogan, okay? You can Google it. It's literally created by the people who are selling cereal. And there's no like scientific research that I've seen that validates that fact. And even if there is, I would check out who funded it, okay? Because like, you don't need to eat 3 times a day, okay? You don't need to necessarily like wake up and stuff yourself, especially if you have reserve energy, right? It's about energy and burning energy. If what you want to do is burn fat and burn and lose weight, then what you want to do is burn energy. So if you're constantly consuming energy 3 times a day, because like we've been acculturated to that, right? And oh, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. I heard that somewhere once. It must be true. No, it was like created by like a guy named Kellogg. Does that name ring a bell? Okay, yeah, Kellogg was the guy who created that, or the guy who made grape nuts. I don't remember. It's one of them, right? Something like that.
Sure.
But they both used that slogan to sell their
Brilliant marketing
cereal.
strategy, yeah.
Oh yeah, but now we're living and
Yeah.
eating ourselves to death
Yeah.
so that they can sell cereal. And I don't think that's a good deal.
Yeah.
You know?
So there's a lot of great advice out there by medical researchers on fasting. Make sure you get a hold of some of that. It's always important to seek medical counsel from a doctor, physician if you're going to go on an extended fast. But
What
definitely
extended would be what?
Oh, I would say if you're going to go longer than a week.
Okay.
I mean, I would feel comfortable going on a week without medical advice.
Exactly. Like yeah, the 3-day fasts are really good. Like even intermittent fasting, when you're doing like one fast. I'm sorry to cut you off, by the way. Do you
Please.
want to keep going? Intermittent
guess.
fasting is like one day, you know, where you're kind of like waiting till night to eat, you know, something like that. But like a 3-day fast will actually clean out a lot of the enzymes in your like gut biome, right?
Yep.
And like there's connections, you know, look up the literature and Google this because I'm not like a nutritionist, right? But like connections to inflammation. Inflammation is actually also connected to depression. Like anti-inflammatory drugs work the same as antidepressants in clinical trials. So like there's a connection there between inflammation and depression, and that has to do, the inflammation might have to do with like your gut biome, right?
Okay.
So like maybe fasting, which has been a religious practice, I think, in
Right.
most major religious traditions, right, actually serves like this like function we're starting to scientifically understand now, and it has ramifications beyond nutrition.
Yeah.
You know, it could affect how you feel and your emotional state and everything. It's all connected, right? So like fasting every once in a while for 3 days, especially, is a really good idea. It really cleans you out. But also, you know, going on an extended fast, like you said, 7 days, which is really brave, by the way, for anyone wanting to do that. It's a really healthy experience. But if you're going to go longer than that, I think that's what you're saying, longer than a week, then check it in with the doctor and drink a lot of water, no matter how much you're fasting.
Absolutely.
You know?
So I think the takeaway from this is eat less.
If you want to.
If you want to.
If you want to.
You know, I've got a lot of stored energy I need to get rid of, so I'm realizing I need to eat less. My body's going to use up that as I eat less, and you know, I'm going to try to break that flavor addiction. So this is some good nuggets today. Thanks for watching. We went a little bit long, but this was really good stuff. Ryan, thanks for being on my
thanks for having me, man.
channel.
I'm so proud of you, brother. I love what you're doing, and it's amazing.
I do one video a day. That's my success so far.
Even that is like
Look who's
requires
here.
a lot of
Look
discipline.
who showed up.
And sometimes we throw in like the cutest kids in the world. Just it's to get more shares.
She
It's
crawls
to be
in
honest.
from the other side of the camera.
It's to get more shares.
Came
Can
in
you
and
say
then pops in.
Can you say share this video if you want to?
Share this video if you want to.
Oh, thanks.
And subscribe if you want to.
And subscribe if you want to.
All right.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys. Thanks so much. See you tomorrow.